Good morning. Good morning to all the gamers, gangsters, and grandmas who are curious in watching these motovlog videos. Hope y'all have had a wonderful little bit of time since you last heard from me. It's been an interesting time. So, if you've ever heard the expression, when it rains it pours, oh boy, it certainly does. So, going back to where it all started, like 3 weeks ago now, probably closer to 3.5, I was helping my grandpa move a whole bunch of stuff at his house, you know, blah, 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 blah. Just a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of physical work. And then one day my ribs started hurting. Turns out, because I went to the doctor last week, that I have a hairline fracture on one of my ribs. So I'm like, okay, that explains it. Not only that, because of that hairline fracture on the rib, I got messed up muscles in my back. So, last week was a not too good week. Took days off work, got prescribed painkillers, muscle relaxers, and steroids to try and mitigate the pain. Of course, the muscle relaxers did absolutely nothing, and neither did the painkillers, which sucked. So, we're going on almost exactly 1 week after diagnosis of back and rib pain. No fun, right? The other day, I rode into work, and I actually recorded Let's Ride to Work 3, which is what this one is going to be, because the Let's Ride to Work 3, my microphone decided to pull some stupid shit, and it didn't actually use the lav mic that's inside the helmet. It went straight to the camera, so it was recording audio from outside of the helmet. All you could hear was the exhaust of the bike and wind noise. So that's number 2. And then number 3 was, today's Friday, Wednesday, I was at work, and one of my coworkers came up to me and said, "Hey, I think you've got a nail in your back tire." And I was like, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me." Turns out I did have a nail in the back tire of the bike. So, $300 later, we've got a new tire on there. It's a Battle Axe 23. Just because I don't need a sport tire, and I don't want like a knobby or just like a standard highway cruising tire. Something that you can actually, you know, lean in the corners on and supports it. So I had my buddy Garrett over at Cycle Gear throw one on for me. And then putting it on last night was a pain. Putting the wheel back on. I've never worked on motorcycles before, so this is my first time ever doing anything like that. I'm at 1,300 miles, and I had my break-in period done at about 650. So I'm, 700 miles in. So it's about time for me to check my chain adjustments and everything, which would have been completely fine if I was able to just do that on the, where it was, from where it's sat, not having taken the wheel off. Because trying to get everything like lined up in that situation, oh dude, coming from somebody who's never done anything like that before, it was abysmal. Music off? No. Music on. I'm listening to the music. But it's one of those things that, I had never done before, so it was a little daunting. Got the wheel and everything, all of the assembly on, and you're just bouncing back and forth between, the check marks on one side, the check marks on the other, to make sure that the wheel is actually in alignment, so that way you're not, doing dumb things. And then also making sure that the axle that goes through the rear wheel and everything is going to be straight. And I think I did an alright job. It coasts straight, maybe a little bit to the right. I may end up taking it to the same people who did my break-in service and just being like, "Hey, can you double check, making sure everything is in spec?" That would honestly be the smartest thing for me to do. But I think they're closed today, so I may have to ride as is for this weekend if the weather holds up, because this week's weather has been amazing. This week and last week. It's been a little bit chilly in the mornings, but that means it's not going to be super hot during the day, and that is my favorite kind of weather. Oh boy. It's nice to be halfway fully back. You know what I mean? It's been a hot second, and it makes me excited. Now, of course, when it comes to YouTube videos, you always have a backlog of recorded content behind the scenes. But you always have a backlog of recorded content, so that way if something happens, you can always post it. You always have some sort of outgoing content going on. But over this past 2 weeks, I ran out of recorded content that was actually worth anything to post. Hush up over there. So hopefully I can get a little bit of a backlog going, because it's honestly, it's a little sad. You know, when I want to be like, I want to post this video, and then I go and I figure out something's wrong with the video, or I'm thinking that I had a good message or like a good, you know, little strip of content in there, and it turns out that it's actually just dog crap, and it's just bad. So I'm sitting there like, I don't even have a video to post while I'm sitting at home, nothing to kind of piddle around with in DaVinci, which is the editing software that I use to see if I can make a decent video out of it or anything like that. But you know, such is life. A lot of the times when you're sitting around doing nothing, sometimes that's the best thing that you could do. I didn't have to worry about, you know, trying to figure out if I can make a video, because I physically couldn't. And then I really physically couldn't. And then the one time that I could have, the microphone wasn't working right. So it's all just a constant cycle. But that don't matter, because we think we got everything figured out. Everything's sorted. Bike's still doing good. Helmet setup is still doing good. Which, if I do end up getting a new helmet, I'm not really excited for having to redo everything, because one of the big things when it comes to really any sort of build that has to do with electronics, cable management is key, and trying to fit these long cables that come with all the electronics that go in a helmet into the helmet, we're not making that. Oh, and you didn't even try to fit it all into the helmet. It kind of sucks. Because you think that there's a lot more usable space in the helmet than there really is, but there really isn't. So you got a lot of double and triple going back on the cords just to make sure that they fit. And I know that I want to say this is the Lav Mic 2, or the Rode Lav Mic 2. It has a lot shorter of a cord than the Purple Panda that was originally in the helmet did. And let me tell you, that Purple Panda wire was long, dude. It's like a 3-foot stretch of cord, and at most it needs to go 5-6 inches. So you have to figure out a way to keep 3 feet of cord inside of the helmet safely, not bumping into anything. It was an interesting time. I'm sure people at work loved me for it, because I would just sit when we were slow and just fiddle around with how I wanted to have the mic port. But it's one of those things, it kind of eats up time during the day, so I'd be okay with it, depending on, you know, how busy we are and what we got going on and everything. But, you know, of course, all of that hinges on whether the fact I want to get a new helmet, because they're expensive, and I don't want to spend, you know, $900, $1,000 on a helmet when I have a perfectly fine, good working X or RF 1400. But, you know, to each their own. Some dudes are out here rocking like 4 or 5 different helmets, and I don't understand, like, the money that has to go into that. It's ridiculous. Of course, you can take a camera from one helmet, move it to the other, but it's a lot harder to do that, you know, with a Cardo setup. They make the second helmet kit, so if you have 2 helmets, you can buy, you know, one Cardo Freecom 4X. That's what I have. And then you can get like this little second helmet adapter kit, so it has like the speakers, the brackets, all that stuff, and then you can put it on the second helmet. So all you got to do is swap over the Cardo, but it's like $120. And if you have second helmet that you want to keep in rotation, that's another $120 that you're looking at going towards that helmet. And then you got the microphone. Now, I know that some people use the DJI Mic 2, which I would love to try it out, right? It's a wireless transmitter that'll pair seamlessly to the DJI camera, which is what I have. This is being recorded on an Action Osmo 4, or Osmo Action 4, one of those. Whatever place the name is in. But it wirelessly pairs to it, so you could swap microphones if you wanted, or you could just move that transmitter into a new helmet if you really wanted to. Breaking. But if you don't, you're looking at, you know, whole microphones just to go in this secondary helmet of yours. Oh, we may be late today, which sucks. But yeah, depending on what microphone you get, I know that the Purple Pandas are like 30 or 40 bucks, but the Rode mic that I have was 80 bucks. So if you get a second one of those just to have in the helmet sitting and waiting, you know, that with the Cardo second helmet thing, you're already looking at $200 above that. And then depending on what helmet you get, some of them come with the tinted visors, or not tinted, like the photochromatic ones. I know the Bell Race Star, the really fancy expensive one, does. Shoeies do not. You have to buy them. For the RF 1400, the photochromatic visor that I have, so it's like the transition visor, was $200. Same thing with the X15. So that's another little bit of money that you're going to have to spend on top. And I don't know. I don't know how some people do it. Then again, I guess if this is your business, your main source of income, and it's worth it to kind of like invest back in, instead of, at this point for me, it just being a hobby, which honestly it is. My videos don't get nearly enough views for this to be a full-time job. What are you doing? Do not swerve. But yeah, doesn't get enough views. I'm not even monetized. You need to have 500 subscribers for that. So I mean, that's, I guess, our first goal, is figure out how we can get to 500 subscribers. But if it's your, you know, your livelihood, if you have to do these videos in order to make your, you know, make your nut, then you're gonna put money back into it. But for the everyday Joe, unless you have a really well-paying job, you don't have to worry about rent, you don't gotta worry about car payment. Like if you're making just buku cash, then I guess you could afford multiple helmets. Or if you're somebody who works at Cycle Gear, because you get hella discounts on them. And I was talking with Garrett, and their discount is pretty good working at Cycle Gear. He has like 13 different helmets. His daily helmet is the Alpine Stars, whatever fancy one that they just released, or one of their newer releases. And he absolutely loves the thing, besides the fact that the transition visor on it, he says it blows. And it was like $300. So it's all just, you know, it's a give and a take. How do you want to do it? But for me, it's just not worth it. Big old truck boy. Listen to that crackle in the pops. Oh, brother. But yeah, that was the, fingers crossed, third and last time that I have to record the Let's Ride to Work episode 3. Blah, 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 blah. A very quiet morning this morning. Then again, I'm here a little bit later than I normally am. I'm usually getting here, anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes early for work, just because that's how I was always taught. If you're not early, you're late, and I don't like being late. Oh. But yeah, that'll be it. Welcome to work. Thanks for riding with me. If you guys like today's video, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you didn't, you didn't. It's that plain as that. But look at that. Just the great colors. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Peace.